They say some rivers carry water, but others carry secrets. And then there's the River of 9 Songs, a river that carries the very voices of forgotten gods. Legend whispers that on misty mornings, when the sun is just a suggestion on the horizon, the currents shimmer with an otherworldly light. The water flows not just forward, but through time itself, carrying echoes of ancient power and forgotten hymns. It is a place of profound magic and even greater danger. The songs it sings are not for mortal ears. They are temptations, promises of glory, of knowledge, of everything a heart could desire. But these promises come at a cost, a price paid in sanity and soul. Few have ever dared to seek its crossing, and even fewer have returned. But on one such morning, a lone traveler stood at its bank. He had journeyed for years, led by whispers on the wind and fragments of old maps. He sought not gold or fame, but a power he believed could change his destiny. As he watched the spectral mist dance upon the water, a new sound reached him. It wasn't the rush of the current or the rustle of reeds. It was a voice, a chorus of voices, weaving a melody just for him. They promised him the strength of 100 heroes, the wisdom of 1,000 sages. All he had to do was cross. He scanned the shoreline, his heart pounding a rhythm against his ribs that matched the river's strange pulse. There, tied to a gnarled willow tree, was a small, unassuming ferry. An old man, his face a roadmap of wrinkles, sat silently within it, a long pole resting in his weathered hands. The traveler approached, his boots sinking slightly into the damp earth. He called out, asking for passage. The ferryman looked up, his eyes as deep and gray as the river itself. He didn't speak of coin or payment. Instead, he issued a warning. He spoke of the river's guardians, the serpent spirits that dwelled beneath the surface. They were not creatures of flesh and blood, but of magic and malice. They fed on the ambitions of those who dared to cross, weaving illusions from their deepest desires and darkest fears. To journey across the River of 9 Songs was to invite madness, to risk becoming another lost voice in its haunting melody. The stakes were clear. Turn back and live a life of ordinary certainty, or step onto the ferry and wager his very mind for a chance at divine power. As if summoned by the ferryman's words, the water began to stir. Shapes coiled and uncoiled in the depths, and then they rose. Not one, but dozens of serpents. Their bodies formed from the river's mist and moonlight. Their scales weren't scales at all, but shimmering points of light that reflected the constellations of a night sky, even in the growing dawn. They hissed, and their hisses sounded like promises and taunts, a symphony of temptation. The traveler's resolve hardened. He would not be deterred. He stepped onto the ferry, the old wood groaning under his weight. The ferryman said nothing more, simply pushed off from the bank, and they were adrift on the river of whispers. The moment the ferry left the shore, the world warped. The mist thickened, swirling, not with vapor, but with memories. The traveler saw visions of great heroes he had only read about in scrolls, their swords blazing with celestial fire, beckoning him to join their ranks. He saw the face of a love he had lost long ago, her hand outstretched, promising they could be together again if he only reached for her. Palaces of gold rose from the water, their gates open, offering him a throne. The serpent spirits were masters of their craft. They showed him futures where he was a king, a sage, a god. They whispered that he deserved it all, that this power was his birthright. He gritted his teeth, his knuckles white as he gripped the side of the ferry. He knew these were illusions, but they felt so real, so intoxicating. The ferryman pulled on, his face impassive, a silent observer in this battle for a man's soul. The traveler fought to hold on to his own thoughts, to remember his name, his purpose, but the songs were relentless, chipping away at his defenses, promising him everything while stealing his sense of self. Just as his will began to crack, the river itself seemed to heave. The small ferry was tossed as if it were a leaf in a storm. From the very center of the river, a colossal form began to rise. This was no serpent spirit. This was something older, something primordial. Its head broke the surface, larger than the entire ferry. Its scales were plates of jade and pearl, and its eyes burned with the light of ancient stars. Water cascaded from its long, flowing whiskers. It was the Shui Long, the water dragon, the ultimate guardian of the river. It did not hiss or tempt. Its voice was the sound of mountains shifting, of oceans turning. It did not offer power. It made a demand. The dragon declared that the illusions were born from the lies mortals tell themselves. To silence them, to prove his worth, the traveler had to offer a song of absolute truth. A song of truth? What truth could he possibly offer that a creature of myth did not already know? His mind raced. Should he sing of his ambition, the burning desire for power that had brought him here? Should he sing of his sorrows, the losses that had carved him into the man he was? All of these felt like more illusions, more stories, he told himself. The dragon watched, its gaze patient yet unyielding. The serpent trot vision swirled around him, growing more desperate, more beautiful, more terrifying. He closed his eyes, shutting out the phantom palaces and beckoning ghosts. He took a deep breath, and when he began to sing, his voice was quiet, stripped of all pretense. He sang not of becoming a god, but of the simple, humbling truth of being a man. He sang of his own limitations, of his fears, of his smallness in the face of the vast, unknowable cosmos. He sang of the beauty in a single sunrise, the comfort in a shared meal, the ache of mortality. It was a song of humility, an acknowledgement that his quest for power was a foolish attempt to escape the fragile, fleeting, and precious nature of his own life. As his song filled the air, a profound change occurred. The hissing of the serpents faltered. The golden palaces dissolved back into mist. The faces of heroes and lost loves faded into the gray water. The illusions shattered, not with a crash, but with a gentle sigh, like a dream ending upon waking. The churning river grew calm, its surface becoming as smooth and reflective as a silver mirror. The great water dragon lowered its head in a slow, ancient nod of approval before sinking back into the silent depths. The traveler opened his eyes. The mist had cleared. Ahead, the far shore was visible. The ferryman, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. He nodded, and as he did, his wrinkled form shimmered and changed. The old man was gone, and in his place stood a radiant being, cloaked in starlight. He was one of the river's forgotten gods, testing the hearts of mortals who sought his domain. The river before them transformed, the water turning into a pathway of soft, glowing light, leading to the shore. The traveler stepped off the ferry, his feet landing on solid ground. He felt different. The frantic, burning ambition that had driven him for so long was gone. In its place was a quiet, profound sense of peace. He had come to the river, seeking power, but he was leaving with something far more valuable. He turned to thank the divine ferryman, but the boat and its passenger had vanished, leaving only the gentle lapping of water against the shore. He looked back across the river, now just a river once more, its surface sparkling under the morning sun. He finally understood. The river of 9 songs doesn't carry the power of the gods. It carries their wisdom. It teaches that true strength isn't found in becoming more than human, but in embracing what it means to be human, with all our limits and all our grace. The greatest truth is not a key to unlock divine power, but a light to illuminate our own path. His journey was far from over, but now he walked with a new purpose, carrying not the promise of power, but the weight of wisdom. And as he walked onward, he knew other trials awaited, for beyond the river lay the legendary mountain of flaming birds. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next episode. We'll see you then!